Thank you, Bob. I'd like to start off again on the behalf of our Breaux High School administration and congratulate our queen. I unfortunately have no one with me here today. I think after the way that things went when we tried to start spring and how everything kind of just did this in the summer, nobody wanted to come with me. I think they think it might kind of rub off on them if they hang around me too much. Y'all saw Coach Duplichan came up a couple of minutes ago, but he was usually the guy for the last 2 or 3 years when he worked with me that I would send, because he's way better than any of us at doing this. The thing is that he can do this at the drop of a hat at any occasion that you can think of. So he's kind of the perfect guy to do this. I'd like to thank the Kiwanis and especially Bob for all the work that he's put in the last 3 or 4 weeks have really been crazy, and for not kicking us out of the Jamboree once our opponent backed out. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with how everything went down, but we had an opponent that we were scheduled to play, and it was probably maybe 3-4 weeks ago when we found out that they were actually going to play in another Jamboree. And it seems like, that's kind of been the trend since I got to Breaux. I'd been there before, so I was, pretty familiar with the culture. Then I spent, again, another 12 years at Cecilia, so I figured there's not too much that can surprise me, going back to Breaux. Coach Davidson and I was scheduled to play in the spring game, and our baseball team actually went on a really good run and made it to the semifinals. So all of our baseball guys went without 1 day of practice. We were scheduled to play on a Tuesday, and we'd gone back and forth with text messages, Coach Davidson and I, and we see that Tuesday is really heavy rains. There's going to be a lot of rain. So we decided to move our game up 1 day to Monday, but that was supposed to be my one and only day with the baseball guys in practice. Well, we moved the practice to Monday. It rains on us the whole time. Tuesday, the sunshine is out all day and it's beautiful. So he says, "How about that weather, man?" And I said, "Well, that's kind of how I've been, since I've been to Breaux. It's been a lot of crazy things, and I feel like I haven't caught up yet." That first week in the spring, I've mentioned this in many articles before. Coach Paul Broussard, the guy that I took his place, was one of my best friends when I was in Breaux. We stayed close when I left Breaux. Well, that first week of practice on the Thursday, a lot of people do this. We went ahead and we scrimmaged our ones against ones. The best guys we could put together on offense against the best guys on Breaux's defense. And it just wasn't quite the same type of kid when I walked in that I thought I would see. So I think on that Friday afternoon we walk in and he still come meet us in the office in the back. And I said, "You remember how for the last 12 years when I played against Breaux, that little split flow boot play that we try to run, that in 12 years, I don't think we completed it one time. The whole time I was trying to run it against the Breaux defense." I said, "Well, yesterday we went ones against ones. We completed it 5 times in a row. What in the hell did you get me into?" Because when he left, he said, "Oh man, look, I'm telling you, we got a bunch of kids back. Everything's going to be good. They're going to work hard." And I wasn't quite so sure if he was my friend at that point after that first scrimmage. I think one of the biggest challenges, again, I mentioned how I thought I'd be ready for everything, having spent time there. And I had a lot of this when I was in Cecilia. But it's just, the same type of kid where nobody goes by their real name. It's just, you think by now I would be used to nicknames. The coaches that I have now, there's a couple of guys that are not from around this area, and they're amazed how I don't call one of my 5 children by their real name. I have a nickname for every one of my kids. Most of them, I don't even know where they came from, how I got those nicknames. But it's still, I struggle.
The kids in a name.
That's how bad it is. I'm not even trying to be funny. Still a lot of nicknames, and it took me forever to try. I would call the roll, and I could obviously pronounce all the names, being from that area. But when I try to put it with a face, that's not what everybody else called them. And again, some of these just don't make sense. One of our better-known players, one of the best athletes I've been around a long time, Sabarian, his name is Tum. So I asked the coach, "Is it Tum?" He said, "No, it's Tum." One of our other better players has a pretty usual name, Tyler. They call him Joe. We have another kid who plays basketball also, and the basketball coach has a little group message that he sends out messages, and he said something the other day, and I said, "Well, who in the world are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, it's Tita the Fish." I said, "What?" He showed me on the group message. His name is Terry, but they call him Tita the Fish. And so, I didn't figure that one out either. We have another kid, they call him Slime. I said, "Well, why do they call him Slime?" He said, "Well, he's a tall kid, so one day he walks in and he says, 'I got my own nickname. From now on, y'all going to call me Slim.'" And this is like Logan, this is true. He writes Slime. And everybody starts laughing at him. You know, what y'all laughing at? They said, dummy, that's slime. That's not Slim. Well, you know what they call him. They don't call him Slim. They call him slime. And last week, we have another kid. You know, one of our offensive linemen, real quiet kid, great kid, a really good kid. And it took me a while. I'd say his name, and it's like nobody knew who he was. I guess because he was so quiet. But finally, I figured out the coaches, they called him Pee-wee. And then that one kind of made sense because I said, well, I remember the first time I was here, his father, that was his father's nickname, Pee-wee. So I'll never forget him. So since then, I've been calling him Pee-wee. But then last week, I said, well, somebody left their cleats out. And one of the kids said, well, Coach, that's for Tata. I said, Tata? Who's Tata? He said, well, Coach, that's Pee-wee. So not only do I know he has one, he has two nicknames I got to try to learn. You know? So I kind of gave up, and I figured I'm just going to go to Coach Mowad's system. And if y'all remember Coach Mowad, I remember this kid walks by, he has grass all over his cleats, and he's a senior. And Coach Mowad looks at him and says, and it's like he's stuttering and he can't get out. You know, hey, he starts hollering, then he calls another kid, hey, you, what's his name? I said, Mo, that kid's a senior. He's been here for 4 years. Well, hell, I don't know any of their damn names. I just call them all you. You know? And so I figured that's the point where I'm going to have to probably go for these next few weeks until we get started. Well, like I said, we didn't know who we were going to play. We were supposed to scrimmage a half against Como and a half against St. Thomas More, which no one wanted to do. And it's hard enough to get ready to play one team. And I want to thank the STM coaches and the Como coaches. They agreed to do this when, believe me, no one wanted to do it. And probably, I guess it was Sunday. I think Doug is my friend, and Doug calls me and says, look, somebody just gave me a call. He said, Parkview is looking for an opponent, and I said, man, Parkview, I really only want to play one team, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. Well, what I didn't tell him was that the day before, all of the coaches, we were sitting together, we eating lunch together, and my phone goes off, and I look at it, and we have a kid that's going to be a pretty good player. But again, being young, it's bad enough we can't even teach them the offense yet. I mean, they're pretty good with the defense, but I said, you're not going to believe this. Well, when they printed the Jamboree tickets, we didn't know who we were going to play. I mean, we thought we'd still play a three-way. So Bob had them print on there, Breaux Bridge versus TBD. And so I look at the message, I said, I just got this text from, I said the kid's name. He just said, Coach, I thought we were playing Como and STM. Now it's saying we played TBD. Which school is that? So I said, there's no way. So I texted, I said, are you serious? He said, well, Coach, I looked online. I can't find any school with those initials that are TBD. Well, after talking to Doug and finding out that Parkview was coming and then seeing their film, I was able to send him back a message, and I said, it stands for them big dudes. That's who it is. Because I felt good about it, but after seeing what they do, how they come off the ball on offense, the multiple things they do on defense, I'm not too sure I made the right decision. And if we could maybe go back and do what we were supposed, maybe they got a free meal, maybe they'll just go home and be happy with that. We don't have to play them. So, but again, I want to thank them for agreeing to do it. I'm sure I won't say that after the game, but just with I'll go way back with him. I saw Coach Kenny Gee out here. He's retired, and we played back in 2000. I was an assistant at Breaux Bridge, and we had a great game that we played in the quarterfinals against them. And then I want to say in 07 and 08, when I was at Cecilia, we played two nail biters. We had no business. They just had some great teams. But I want to say the first game we lost in overtime, and the second game we were up. I want to say by maybe 7 points. No, I don't think it was 7. Maybe 3 points late in the game. And those of y'all that know about them, they run the ball so well. They hardly throw the ball ever. I mean, if they throw 4 or 5 balls in a game, that's a lot. Parkview goes on a 2-minute drive, and they complete 4 or 5 balls and score with 4 seconds left and beat us. And, we were on the wrong end of that one, but just 2 of the greatest games I've ever been around. So I'm pretty excited that they're here. I think they bring a great tradition, and I think a lot of people are going to be interested in it. So I'm happy that they're in it. I just probably won't be happy when it's all over. Coach Davidson had a great idea. He said, why don't they just let us in Parkview play? We don't throw the ball. We'll be done in 30 minutes, and we can get the hell out of there. So once again, congratulations to the Cream. Thank y'all for including us. Still, we love being here. Thank y'all very much.